Hello, so this video is going to be an update to my last video about how to edit NIF files and work with geometries. Now, I'll first start out with a warning. When extracting geometries, I highly recommend, if you're going to extract them all, to extract them to a SSD, preferably a NVMe PCI Express M.2 SSD, because there's like a million different geometries. I don't know. I have them extracted. You can see right here, geometries folder, and there's a lot of files in there. If I go in there and just try to search for one, it will lock up my Explorer window for like 5 minutes. So I'm going to show you the best way to find a geometry if you need to actually work with it. So first thing, let's go into a NIF. So you're going to go into one of your meshes, and I think it's under character at, no, not character, is it under here? No, that's animations. There's nothing in there, sorry. Let's do architecture, neon, Slayton, and we're just gonna open up this lobby NIF just to have one to work on. Now, in order to move this around, you left click to rotate. You can use if you hold, you can scroll with your mouse wheel, but if you hold with the mouse wheel, it scrolls and you can move the whole window around. It's kind of weird because it zooms at the same time. I don't know why, but you can move the window around at the same time. It's probably something to do with the fact that it is the mouse wheel, but you can move the window around and scroll out. Move the window, scroll out if you need to move it that way. Uh, right click is zoom, left click is rotate, middle mouse button is move the whole thing around. Alright, so now if you select a geometry, you see there's the BS geometry over here. That's it's the only one in this NIF. And you're going to have at the bottom here the four meshes. These are the actual geometries. And this one, there's only one. So what these are is their level of details. Mesh 0 is high level of detail. You're really close up to it. High polygon count, high detail. Mesh 1 is a little bit less. Mesh 2 is a little bit less. The further and further you get away. So that's why you have four different meshes. Now, this path is the actual geometry. The first section up into the slash is the folder. The second section after the slash is the file name. So if I want to find this geometry to edit it in Blender, I'm going to go ahead and copy the folder path, Control C. I'm then going to go to my geometries that I have extracted. So let's go back to my geometries. And instead of searching, I'm just going to click up here. I'm going to hit the slash. I'm going to paste and hit enter. Now I'm right in the folder and there's no delay. If you try to search for this file, it's going to take 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It depends on your system. If you extracted every single geometry like I have extracted them all. There's a few 100,000 or close to maybe half a million, I don't know. But there's a lot. And try for Windows to try to sort through them all, it's going to lock up Windows Explorer. Even if you're on a hard drive, a regular spinning hard drive, forget it. Don't even try it. You need to put these geometries onto an NVMe in order for and then you don't search for the file. You click up here, paste the folder in, then I'll copy this out of here somewhere else to work on it. So let me go ahead and copy that, and I will move it over to my downloads folder. Now, in order to work with this in Blender, you need to open Blender, and the Blender load, because you need to import or export the Blender and mesh. Now, you're gonna need that whatchamacallit. You're gonna need the mod from the Nexus to import and export meshes into Blender. I forget what it's called. Just search for it. It's something like geometry bridge or something like that. I forget what it's called. So when you Blender first comes up, it has that little cube in the middle. Click on it and hit delete. That gets rid of that. Now I'm going to do load, import, sorry, file, import, Starfield geometry. So this is from that plugin that I downloaded from the Nexus, Starfield geometry bridge or whatever it's called. Import mesh. I'm going to go to my downloads. Here's the mesh I just copied in, and there it is. So now I can middle mouse click to rotate, shift, hold shift, and then middle mouse click to move around. And I believe it's alt, no, not alt, control mouse click does a zoom feature, or you can also zoom with your mouse wheel. So shift middle mouse wheel, hold the mouse wheel button at button 3, which is the mouse wheel button. Hold it down with shift. Hold shift down and then hold it down to move the window around, or without shift to rotate. Again, that's mouse button 3, which is usually the button that's embedded in your mouse wheel. All right, so now if you want to edit this mesh, you would click on model and like say I want to, normally I just like delete stuff from the meshes so I can separate them out. So in that case, I would say, so you have three different options up here, these three little icons. Whether you want to select the individual vertices, which is the little dots in the corner. See, I just selected that one little dot, or I can select a bunch of dots. Then there's the edges, which is the lines, the black lines you see, or faces. That selects the actual polygon. Now, if I do a right click, delete, where is it? Sorry, sorry, not right click. If I select one and then hit delete, a menu comes up. Do I want to delete the dots? Do I want to delete the edges? Do I want to delete the faces? What? So if I delete the face, the three vertices and the three edges remain. So I can go ahead and then, now if I want to, this time I'll probably want to do the this time I probably want to go ahead and select just the edge, because then I can delete that edge and that gets rid of that square. You have to kind of play around with it to figure out how it all works, but it's not that hard. I can delete that edge, and that just gets rid of polygons. I do this a lot because like on the Starborn Guardian ship, there's like these little. Here, let me show you what I did there. Let me go ahead and find that. So go ahead and so go ahead and make your changes. And what you're gonna do is after you're done making your changes, you're gonna click back on layout. Make sure you have the model selected, and then file, export mesh, and then pick your mesh and save changes. Now you're going to want to make sure your file size has changed to make sure that mesh is actually updated. So my file size is 102 kilobytes. So after I set this, it should change. 101, 102, whatever it says there. All right, export. So now what does it say? It didn't delete. Yeah. See, the mesh just changed in size. Actually, it got a little bigger for some strange reason. But whatever. At least it changed in size, so I know that file was edited. It was updated. Now I can go ahead and I just go ahead and delete that mesh and import the next one I want to work on. I don't even bother saving the actual whatchamacallit, the actual Blender project. I just import my mesh, edit my mesh, export my mesh, and then when I'm done, don't save changes because I'm pretty much done with it now. I don't need to touch it now. Now, say I want to import this into the NIF as a custom thing. So now I'm going to want to set a file path. So note this is inside Geometries. So I'd want to make a, let's see, let's go into new folder, and we're going to do a new folder, and you're going to want data, and then in there you're going to want new folder Geometries, and then from there you're going to want a new folder, and this will be whatever the folder is that you want. So let's say you're just going to say 0000. Let's just pick something. And then in there is where we're going to put our geometry that we just made. Copy and paste. Now, in order for Nifskope to see this new custom geometry that you just made, you need to put this data folder or geometries folder, whatever, copy that, and go to your game. We're in the data folder, and see I already have all my geometries, my custom geometries are in here. Because if they're not in here, the Nifskope won't load them. So I'll go ahead and paste that new one. And I'm going to go ahead and, so let's go ahead and close this NIF. And I'm going to go back to that NIF. And where did it go? No, wrong one. Here we go. So we're going to go ahead and copy that NIF, and we're going to go back to downloads. Let's go ahead and just paste it here. And I'm going to go ahead and edit that NIF. And what I'm going to do is, in order to change that geometry out to my custom one, I'm just going to go in here, select that folder path, and change it to 0000, the folder that I created, enter. Actually, no, not enter. Just click somewhere else. And now, we should have deleted that. I should have done a little bit more to make it more apparent, but yeah, you can see there's a line going across that square there, right there. But if we go to this side now, there's no line crossing that path there. So it just updated the geometry to my custom geometry. Now also inside that geometry, you got this BS lighting shader property. If I want to change this uh, material to something else, say I want to take the material off of the Starborn Guardian ship. So I'm going to go to Starborn Guardian. Where are we? Meshes. And I believe it's under, where is it? Ships. And then Starborn. And what do we want? We want the exterior matte. We want to matte off the exterior of the Starborn Guardian ship. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and select the mesh that I want the material from. Select the BS, like so. So there's the mesh. I expanded that. I selected the material property, the BS lighting shader. And now here is the material that the Starborn Guardian is using on that mesh. Material ship Starborn ship clean 01. So I'm going to click this text button. I am going to copy that text. I'll go ahead and click cancel. I'll now go back to this one. I'll go ahead and click that text icon again and paste the material, and watch what's going to happen. It's going to go from NA plastic plain smooth to Starborn ship clean 01. So now I have updated the material for this arch, and it will use the material from the Starborn Guardian ship. That simple. Now, um, another thing is, for example, no, I don't want to save any changes to that. I'm just showing examples here. Let's go back to my Guardian ship. I mean, the Starborn Guardian ship. So, for example, on this, I made a ring, I made the glow around the cockpit. So what I did is I took this geometry here. I'm going to go ahead and search for that geometry. And we're going to go into, where are we? Geometries. Again, I'm going to do dash, paste, enter. Now, it depends. For me, with the geometries I'm doing, they're pretty simple, so I'm not worried about level of detail. So I'm only going to get the one best quality uh, geometry. So that's the first 1, 0. This is the best quality geometry for that mesh. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that. I'm going to go ahead and paste that into here. I will then open up Blender again, and then I'll go ahead and delete that square, import that geometry, Starfield geometry, import, downloads, and that's in here, data, and I think it's that one. Yep, there we go. So here's the geometry from the Guardian's cockpit. So I want just these lines so I can add the glow to the ship. So what I did is modeling, select the whole face. I then drag and select. Now be very careful what you're selecting because you don't want to select stuff that you don't want to delete. Then I hit delete and delete faces and edges. And that got rid of everything that I selected. Do it again, delete faces and edges. Do it again, delete faces and edges. And just keep doing it until you get rid of everything you don't want. You might have to scroll in and get some stuff because it's just not selecting it. But just be patient, take your time, and keep doing this over and over and make sure you get everything. Why am I not getting? Oh, okay, that's why. Select edges. I'm not getting though because they're edges. Delete faces and edges. So let's go ahead and just select edges instead. Delete faces and edges. Delete faces and edges. I gotta be careful. Yeah, see, I screwed up already. Because I deleted some stuff down there that I shouldn't have because I was going too fast. So let's go ahead and undo a lot of that. Delete. You can undo a lot of, go back pretty far on your undo. All right, so back to modeling. And now I'm just selecting edges this time because it's a little easier. And this time I'm going to do it from over top. Faces and edges, faces and edges. That way I know I'm not getting that stuff up front that I don't want to delete. And it's not deleting, so let's try the vertices. Oh, was I on vertices? Let's try that again. Yeah, that's better. I was on vertices, I guess. So if it doesn't select the stuff you want it to be selecting, it is likely because you have the wrong thing up here selected. And you just select and delete, select and delete, select and delete. Keep doing it until you get rid of everything that you want to get rid of. See, there's a bunch of vertices left, so let's go ahead and delete all these vertices because we want to make sure we get rid of everything that we're deleting too. Don't leave any stranded vertices out there. And we just keep doing this until we get rid of everything that we don't want. I mean, there's a little bit of just playing around with it. Get familiar with the tool. I mean, I didn't know how to use this a month ago. I just learned how to do it on my own, no tutorials. And you just keep this up. Keep deleting this stuff until you just have that ring left. I mean, You don't necessarily have to because if you want to, my mod is up there. It has the geometry in it for this ring around the cockpit that you have permission to go ahead and take and use. I have said in my mod that any custom geometries that I have made that are in that mod, you are welcome to use. So you don't have to do it for this one, but if if there's something else you want to work on like this, and then another thing I did is so I went in because all this stuff that's going around the cockpit, and trust me, this took a lot of patience and time to select stuff one at a time. And I selected on that, and then I selected the faces I wanted. And you can hold shift or control to select extra one, add extra to it. And I mean, again, this is time consuming, so be patient. So this is just a flat piece of paper. Think of it as a flat piece of paper. Now, I want to make it a 3D object. So I'm going to make it where is it? I'm going to go ahead and extrude region. So everything I have selected, and I'm going to drag it in a direction, and now it's a C channel instead of being a individual, instead of just being a flat piece of paper, it is now a C channel. That way it shows up better on the ship because if it's just a flat piece of paper, it doesn't show up too well. But being a C channel, it now sticks up from the surface a little bit. If you go look at my skin mods for these closer, you'll see they stick up from the surface a little bit because I did this. I extruded the paper into a C channel. All right, that's some basics on Blender. Then you go ahead and import that back into your what you call it, your NIF. So in order to do that, again, we're going to go back to the NIF. And what I did here is I just right click. Now, here's a key thing. If you have something that has to be expanded, aka it has children, these are considered children and this is the parent. So you're going to click on the parent, block, copy branch. And then I'm going to make sure I go up one level to its parent, this 9 node. So you follow the line up. Follow the line up. The next line over is the 9 node. I'm going to go ahead and click there, and I'm going to go ahead and paste branch. Now that paste the second, a duplicate copy of that same one. Now I'll go in and let me get, what is my geometry called? Geometry. Oh no. Where am I? Starfield data geometries. I don't have that in here. Okay, give me 1 second. Where are we? Mods and Starborn Guardian Ghost Geometries. Oh no, that's his. Never mind. Sorry. I need the Tron skin geometries, Ghost ship. Copy of that. Put that into here, and then so the Ghost ship is my folder. Copy. So Ghost ship is my folder, and then the file name was Ghost. That's not what I wanted to do. Come on, go away. Give me a name. Copy that, and then paste the name. And now you'll see it just updated. So if I click here, that's the one, the original. And I click down here to the one I just pasted and edited the mesh. And now it's my new geometry that I made. And I made it just by simply doing what I was just showing you in Blender. I just went in, deleted all the vertices and faces and edges that I did not want. Edges are the lines, vertices are the dots, faces is the flat actual polygon. and then I extruded it so it is now a 3D C channel. There's a line up, line across, line back down. It's a C channel, and the texture wraps around the outside of that C channel, so it's not just a flat piece of paper laying on the surface. That makes it stand out a little better from a distance. You know, I've seen other people where they're just using this other, where is it? Is it that? No, that's not the one. They're just using, is that it? Yeah, they're using these two, which are just flat pieces of paper, and they're the beveled edges for the glass. They're not very good to use as a glow, where my mine is much better to use as a glow because it sticks out and it doesn't like clip into the rest of the cockpit. So that's why I did it this way instead of just using these other two, because these other two are just flat paper and it doesn't look good. So I tried using those first. That didn't look good. I went back and I made my own geometry, and it now looks a lot better. And again, all you do in order to add new geometries or stuff is you block, make sure it's copy branch, not copy, copy branch. And say I want to remove this. Do not, if I do remove, that's going to break it. Don't do remove, do remove branch. Alright? Because if you remove branch, you remove that entry and its children. But if I just do remove, watch what happens. Now those children are down here with no parent. That's a mistake. We don't want them there. If it's a single item, you can remove. If it's a whole branch, then you need to remove the branch. And that will delete everything. Or copy and paste branch. So if I want, again, I'm going to go ahead and copy branch and then paste branch and then remove branch. And see, no children left stuck at the bottom here because I properly did it as a branch, not as a remove only. Again, for materials, you just click on this, Control C, copy this text in this field, and then wherever you want to put that, you can do the same thing. Click on the text, Control V, paste. I'm going to go ahead and cancel. Now, if once the string is in, what I showed wrong in the last time is the last time I was copy and pasting this. This is a link. Don't do that. That causes problems. What you want to do is double click on that. It gives you the number. Copy that number. Then double click on the next one. Paste that number in. So if I change this 17 to a 15, it becomes the glow. Then I can change that 15 back to a 17, and it becomes the ship exterior 3. All right. So once the string is loaded into the NIF, it is assigned a number. If the string is not in the NIF, then you need to copy and paste the string by clicking on the icon. And if you click on the icon, here's all the strings in this NIF. So this is the string list. So you have all these strings to work with. If I want to add a string to this list, I copy it the whole path from another NIF and paste it in here. And then it adds it to it. Once it's added to it, then it will never need to be, then you will have a number, and then you can just double click and get the number. Same goes for names. See, there's a name, the string, all the names for everything is a string. Some of them are the names of the actual objects, and don't rename these things. Because if you rename these things, you can break animations. Like, there's specific folders and stuff is named for the scripts to be able to find it. So, like, this is ring upper, ring upper. This is done so for a reason. If you change the name on that, you're going to break the animation of that ring when the ship is landing and taking off. That's one. The upper ring ring half is one nine node. The bottom ring half is the other nine node. And then the ring, the wing itself is another nine node. So, see, we got wing one, and then we got ring lower and ring upper. There's a reason why these nine nodes exist, these folders as I call them exist, because that's to do with the animations. So you want to make sure, like if I'm putting a new geometry on the ring, I want to make sure I'm in the wings nine node, wing here. So when I pasted the glow on around this edge, I pasted a new branch there. I had to be in here so that that piece would move with the rest of the wing. If I didn't, if I pasted it somewhere else, that piece I put in would never move. It would just stay in place. And then when the ship animated from landed to take off, it'd be in the wrong spot. So you have to pay attention to these folder paths, these nine nodes, because this nine node here is for the wing. And inside that nine node, there's another one for the back section. See, the tail, the nine node tail is inside. Oh no, it's inside that. Okay. Yeah. So you have the tail here and then the wing, and they're all inside of this point wing. Which that point wing, yeah, that's the probably the animation point. Because notice the dot in the middle at the neck. That dot at the neck, that must be the animation point. Because it's right there at the neck where the animation happens. So you want to make sure when you're pasting new objects in, they are in the right nine node for the rest of the objects. So when I paste them in, I will select something in that group. So the cockpit is one group. Again, body. The body, point body, is the cockpit. Point wing is the wing. And then you should also have, yeah, point ring is the ring in the back. And I think there's two of them, yeah. Ring upper and, yeah, so you have ring upper for the top ring, and then you have body for the cockpit, then you have the wing for the actual wing, and then you have another point ring for the bottom. Sorry for my pronunciation. I'm really bad with R's and W's, but I'm sure you understand what I'm saying here. So make sure when you're pasting new geometries in that you're doing so in the right branch. Something like this is heavily animated, so you have different nine nodes for that reason. Everything inside this nine node is one rotation animated part. Everything inside this is everything for the wing. Everything inside this is for the cockpit that stays stationary. So you need to make sure when you if you want to add something to the wing, you need to be inside the wing's nine node. And I usually keep it where it is. So if I select on this and I want to add that glow line along that edge of this line, like I did, I put it inside the same parent as that geometry. That way, they're all in the same place. And that also will make it a lot easier than having to rearrange your X, Y, Z positions. This translation, that's the position of your object. So X, Y, and Z will move the object up and down. The rotation will rotate the object left, right, up, down, tilt it left and right, all of that. Scale will do exactly that. Scale it in bigger or smaller. So you play with, you'll put in your new object, then you will use these three to get the object lined up where you want them. But again, make sure it's in the right family, the right folder, the right under the right parent. That way, it animates with it and moves with it. All right. I think that's pretty much all the basics you really need to know. From there, it's just a matter of playing around with stuff. So yeah, like if I click on this and I hit one, now the whole ship of the body moved this way 1 degree. 0. So X is left and right. Y is front to back. So if I hit 1, it goes to the front. If I do -1, it goes to the back. And then Z will be your height. So if I put a 1 here, it goes up. If I put a -1 for Z, it goes down. And I always get confused with the rotation. The rotation is the biggest pain to get your head wrapped around which one of these three is each direction. But yeah, you just play with these 6 fields to move and rotate your item around until it is lined up with the rest of the mesh. And if you want to go ahead and separate geometries, again, you import that geometry into uh, Blender. Again, you need that plugin from the Nexus. I think it's called Starfield Geometry Bridge or something like that. Like for this, I see there are skins out there where this section and this section here and here are supposed to be glass. When you're inside the ship, you can see outside. This is where the cargo hold is, and this is where the captain's locker is. And then when you're inside, there's glass there for you to see out. So some people have been skinning this glass. Now, if you wanted to skin that glass, well, you're going to end up making this top part glass as well. So what you would do instead is export this mesh, find that mesh, edit it in Blender, and delete these center sections, the top and bottom center sections from the geometry, save it into a separate folder, rename it, and then you would right click, copy branch, and then you would go up to the 9 node parent, right click, paste branch. Where is it? Oh, yeah, I don't have it copied. So yeah, you would right click, copy branch, go up to its parent, right click, paste branch, then you would go in and rename the folder path and file name to whatever your custom geometry you made was. So say 0000 slash glass. You don't need the dot mesh. It automatically knows the dot mesh. You don't need the geometry folders at the geometry before because it starts in geometries. All you need is the folder and the name that you made for your custom geometry. Now, again, since that file does not exist, it's not going to show it. So if I was to paste that in all 4 meshes, now, did I get all 4 of them? Class, 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 class. It's acting weird, but if I was to save this mesh and reopen it, nothing would be showing. It's only showing because the stuff was already loaded. But if I was to save this, close this, and reopen it, then this stuff would not show up because there's no custom geometry in the, where is it? Starfield Steam Apps Common Starfield Data Geometry. There's nothing in there for it to load it. Oh, what the hell? I screwed that up. Why do I have geometries? Okay, so that belongs over there, and that belongs over there. Replace and delete that folder. All right. So I screwed that up. So yeah, it needs to be data geometries, and then your custom geometries. If they're not in there, Nifskope won't find them. Nifskope is looking in the main game directory for them. And that's decided by, where is it? Options, settings, resources, Starfield data folder is set here. So since your Starfield data folder is set there, it's going to look in data geometries for the geometries. All it needs to know is where Starfield is. Once it knows where Starfield is, it can find everything else. It knows the subdirectories automatically. You just have to tell it where Starfield is. So if you're not seeing anything in Nifskope, and this is the Nifskope for Fallout 76. There is no specific one for Starfield yet. Alright, so that's basically everything. Have a good one.